As men,
Mm-hmm.
what is the message that they oftentimes grow up hearing about emotions and vulnerability that is not good?
I would say that message is it's not good to show them. It's not good to show emotion because emotion is associated with weakness. And if you show emotion, you're somehow weak. I think that's the biggest message that we get coming up. Like if you cry, you're weak.
And whose fault is that? Like, where does that come from?
I think it comes from what our idea of being strong is, or those that taught us, and those that taught us. I think it comes from what their idea of what strong meant. That's why men are more prone to violence, because violence is the same. It's the same energy. It's just coming out in a different way. It's catharsis, the release of that energy. And we would rather look strong by bashing somebody's head in or breaking something than sitting and actually crying and letting tears roll down our face.
Which we think is weak.
It looks weak, yeah.
Yeah.
To the world. We don't want to appear weak to the world.
Yeah, because we got up here like we got it together. Because it's almost like culture has set this expectation of false masculinity that doesn't work. And they expect us to live in it. Or what do you think about that?
Well, I don't necessarily call it false masculinity. I think it is mishandled masculinity. Because masculinity is a thing that I believe is under attack. So there's a dynamic between men that does not exist between women.
Okay, and what is that?
It's a low-level threat of violence.
I was going to say power, but okay.
Well, but that's exactly what it is.
Okay.
Think about how men operate, right? We operate in hierarchy. There's got to be one king. That's why as a child, as you grow up in your father's house, at some point you got to leave because it can't be but one king in the castle.
Yeah, but that sounds so unwinnable. Like you can't win. You can't win like that.
But how can I ever be considered a man if I'm up under another man? So
okay,
so I think that in order to create a household, that's why God made the man the head of the household. I can't be the head of the household and share that with another head.
Okay.
When we saw the story of the prodigal son, where the prodigal son had to leave his father's house and go out into the world and understand, experience, and figure it out. Our journey is our journey. Our journey is a rough one.
Yeah.
Manhood is a rough road. But if you make it down the road and you make it back, then you understand why it's necessary. I believe that we can be a lot more loving and a lot more gentle in the process.
Yeah.
But in order to navigate this world, we have to be a particular way. We can't have the world that we want.
Why?
Because, well, let me say this, on the large scale of things, because we don't control everything else. If there was think about it like this, if we could have the world that we wanted, there would be no need for us to be a protector. What are we protecting our women and our children from? So that's never going to change. And it's this cycle that they tell us that our being, how we translate being a protector and being a provider is so wrong when there's always an enemy at the gates. There's always an enemy at the gates. So the world that we're in has dictated, and even God knew, which is why he gave us the task of being the protector. So our
But the
job,
protector seems hard sometimes. Being the protector seems
well, not necessarily, because being a protector doesn't necessarily mean you're at war all the time. Remember that 90% of protection is prevention.
That's good.
90% of protection is prevention.
That's
we
good.
have to be educated in a way that allows us to see the danger coming. So what we see in the world is not what our women and what our children see.
But how do we get to that point as men?
What point?
How do we get to the point that we can see things and not assume that we have to fight to defend it?
Well, we have to go out, and unfortunately, we have to see the ugly in the world. If 90% of protection is prevention, then the relationship between us and our women has to be one of trust. So I think what happens is we have to get back into a place where our women trust us more than it is, because a lot of times we don't know how to express to them. And, somebody's been in their ear too. Remember, from the beginning, the serpent was in her ear, telling her not to do what her man had already instructed her to do. And when I say instructed, I mean Adam was instructed by God.
Right.
God shared.
Right.
Adam shared with her what God said, and then of course here comes a serpent whispering in her ear, saying, "Well, if you don't do this, then
Right.
this isn't going to happen."
Right.
And then what happens? She brings it back to us. Well, so-and-so said that we could do it like this. And what do? Instead of listening to what God said and following what God said, we say, okay, we want to make her happy. So it's like, okay, well, we'll try it your way.
Right.
And then what happens? We get in trouble.
It seems like there has to be an enormous amount of healing for
Absolutely.
a man if he wants to lead in any way. And I guess what I'm asking is, in terms of healing, when a man goes to therapy, because this is the whole point of this conversation, for push man to go to therapy, how do you balance giving yourself grace, but also holding yourself accountable too, if you're on this journey as a man of healing?
I have friends and my therapist that have had to tell me, you got to be a little more kind to yourself. Because
what does that look like for men?
Well, for me, I tend to be rough on myself because, I feel like I have to have it all together. And then I have to remind myself, and that's a tool that I didn't have before. I have to remind myself that I'm not perfect. I'm doing a good job. I'm going to make mistakes. Things are going to happen that are not in my control. I don't control everything. I'm not always going to get it right.
Right.
But if I continue to move, like, we are all works in progress.
Sure.
So we're never going to be perfect. And even the word perfect doesn't mean what people think it means. I think perfect comes from the Latin word perfectos, or is it Greek? Either way, it doesn't mean without mistake or without flaw. It means to completion.
And so what I hear you saying is that giving yourself grace is a something you have to do.
Yes.
But how did you do it and hold yourself accountable at the same time?
My number one desire is to please God. So I had to let go of what I wanted in favor of what I know would please God. And I think you learn that by trying to do it your way too much. You try to continuously force things
That
in a
aren't
way
supposed
that are
to
not
be.
supposed to be. And then what happens if you really, really have that close relationship with God, then you realize that all things are always working in your favor if you align yourself with that. You don't have to force anything. Align yourself with things.
Yeah.
You are always right if you align yourself with what is right. And that's a
vice versa
thing
for wrong.
For
too.
wrong, absolutely. And that's a thing that, I've seen people, they say, you always think you're right. Well, no, I want to do what's right. It's not about me being right. I want to be on the side of right. So
I understand that. Yeah,
it's a difference. It's not for my own pride and whatever. It's no, I want to do what's right.
Yeah. Let's say that you are in a room filled of men, young and old, and you have this opportunity to give them one piece of advice in terms of their mental health. What are you saying to them?
A room full of old and young. Young men, listen to the wisdom of your elders because they've been there. They've been where you're at right now. Old men, get out of the way because they are living now in their world, in the world that you passed on to them. There has to be a give and take, a push and pull between both. I think that you honor the past, but you serve the future. And because life is lived forward and not backwards. It doesn't, as the writer Khalil Gibran says, it does not tarry with yesterday.
Well, thank you, Mr. George, for sitting with me today. And I hope and pray that any man that's listening will want to go and better themselves and go get help or go get therapy.
Thank you for having me. And just thank you for being obedient to what God put in you.
Thank you.
Because you're helping and are going to continue to help a lot of people with this.
I appreciate that.
Brought to you by MSW Productions.